27% of internships in the federal government are unpaid. That number is even higher for nonprofit internships. The Fair Labor Standards Act is a law that helps determine whether internships should be paid. But the law only applies to for-profit companies like Amazon, Walmart, and small businesses, and it excludes governments, nonprofits, and charities. There's also an old Supreme Court case that ties all of this together. In the late 1940s, the Portland Terminal Company offered a training program for railroad brakemen. They served for 7 to 8 days and ultimately were unpaid. Some workers sued to get paid, but the court decided the interns should be classified as trainees rather than employees. After the ruling, the U.S. Department of Labor created an exemption for governments, nonprofits, and charities. And that's just the beginning. There are several reasons why these types of internships still exist. Some employers simply don't have the budget to pay interns. For others, it's more of a tactic to save costs on recruitment. There are still many who are willing to take unpaid internships if they believe it will help them advance their careers. Businesses aren't incentivized to pay up if there are a lot of interns who are willing to work for free. And with such a large number of people seeking jobs, this happens all too often. In 2016, millennials became the largest generation of the US labor force. In 2019, 32% of state and local government employees were identified as millennials. So many in this category understand the competitive culture of interning, which includes unpaid internships. But some nonprofits are looking for solutions. Carlos Vera, co-founder of nonprofit POI, says he knows firsthand what it's like to be an unpaid intern. He interned at the White House European Parliament and at the House of Representatives. But while interning, he worked side jobs as a waiter and a Starbucks barista to financially support himself during those unpaid internships.
Coming from a working class background, I couldn't ask my parents for money. So what I did was I interned about 30 hours a week. I was taking a side job, working at 20 hours, and then taking 6 courses as a 17-year-old.
On top of his financial struggles, Carlos realized nobody looked like him except the custodian.
I started seeing that a lot of the people in my cohorts were very well off. You know, these are the people that are going to be the future judges, lawyers, professors, elected officials, journalists. When you have so many people just from a certain class, it really warps reality.
Data shows minorities are less likely to get paid internships compared to their white counterparts. Graduating seniors who were women, first-generation students, Black students, and Hispanic students were underrepresented as paid interns in 2019.
The tipping point was when I was talking to my mentee, and he admitted to me that he had skipped out on buying groceries for the week just to pay for the dry cleaning cost for his internship. So I think at that point, I was like, you know what, I have to do something.
And this is how POI Interns was born. The goal was to bring attention to unpaid internships in Congress.
Hi everyone, it's Carlos Mark Vera with POI Interns.
He invested $1,300, the amount of his biweekly paycheck, into the organization and started making calls to figure out which offices had paid and unpaid interns. In 2017, Carlos and his mentee published a report called Experience Doesn't Pay the Bills, which showed only 8% of Republican House representatives and 3.6% of Democratic representatives paid their interns. 1 year after publishing the report, POI Interns worked to double the number of Senate Democrats who offered paid internships. The nonprofit also helped create the first ever internship fund allocation, securing $5 million in the Senate and $8.8 million in the House of Representatives.
Not only did we, call out members, the ones that paid and didn't pay, we also created a roadmap on how to sustainably change this. And what we said is there needs to be legislation in every office. And then after 2 years of doing that, we were able to convince Congress to come together and pass funding specifically to pay interns.